Hello, welcome. My name's Sue Hill.
And I'm Bob Walton, and we're Chapter 1, who run, we're the Write Box, who run the Chapter 1 creative writing group in Weston, in conjunction with Theatre Orchard and Culture Weston. And we'll hear some of the Chapter 1 poets reading today, along with other poets from the area.
So this is our first live speakeasy since October 2019, when we were at the World Hub, and Melanie Branton was our featured poet. Some of you, I think you were there. So yeah, it's a long time. And this is being fed live as well. So people will be able to watch us later as well. So tonight we welcome back the wonderful Beth Calverley, and a great lineup of open mic poets as well. And this event is being filmed as part of Western Arts and Health and curated by University Hospitals Bristol and Western NHS Foundation Trust and Culture Weston and Theatre Orchard. So thank you for all of the support that they've given us, and brochures will be available for our unique festival over the coming days.
It is, of course, also National Poetry Day, when the whole of the country, in this, from Love's Cafe and Weston-super-Mare to all those people who are out there in the rest of the UK, are celebrating the wonderful art of poetry, an art form that entertains you, that disturbs you, that moves you, that sometimes shocks you, that forces you to think on things, think of everything over again. An art form which is liquid in its use of language, and as exciting an art form as we possibly could find, especially in the UK. So we're going to be performing today in two halves. We'll have an open mic, a few people reading in the open mic in the first half. Then Beth will give us her first set. Then we'll have a break where you can get some more drinks in and get to know each other and socialise even more than you've been doing so far. And then we'll come on for the second half with the second half of the open mic and a second set from the wonderful Beth Calverley.
Okay, so I'm going to start the evening off with a poem called Long Play. She is curled on her paisley eiderdown, folded for easy storage, tense, arguing against the background noise, sifting through her record box, scrutinizing each disc, unwinds a memory, a soundless tune. She snaps the brass catches on the Danzet Bermuda, lifts back the sky blue leatherette lid, presses the on button to a dull hum of white noise that blots out their quarrel. Sliding a single from its sleeve, she wipes it clean with a velvet brush, places it on the spindle, chooses other tracks to stack: Bowie, Blondie, B-52s, Stranglers, Jam. Overarm settles, hovering, ready for a long play. Long enough for the row to dissipate, she plucks away a lump of dust gathered on the needle and flicks the trigger. Click, click, whir. The arm springs into life, swinging to the periphery, dropping its diamond stylus into the groove. As the audio ticks and crackles, she begins to dance, sings loudly, nothing else matters. She's filled with the cadence, the rhythm, even when the scratch in the record plays the same mistake over and over, and the blip in the harmony has become part of the song. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. That's lovely, lovely. And quite a few of you, I'm sure, will have identified with both the old gramophone record and the youngsters in the room wouldn't, of course, but the old gramophone records and the type of music which reveals a little bit of Sue's taste in music. Although she was talking about someone else, of course. It was nothing to do with her. Okay, we're going to open up the open mic, and first up this evening is Tasha Mapes. Tasha is from California. She now lives in Weston, in this area. She's graduated from Bristol University. Tasha writes short stories and poems. She's got a collection called Changes, which is available as an ebook on Amazon. And she's also on Facebook and YouTube, as well as her own website. And I've seen a really beautiful rendering of a poem called I Came Out Here on her YouTube channel, which is absolutely lovely. But we've got Tasha here in the flesh, in person, to present a few poems to you. Thank you very much, Tasha.
Okay, I think if I just tilt it down a bit, it should be all right. So I have just a couple short ones. They're vaguely related to the environment, so I'm starting off with Day's Gold. And this was actually written in the park that has a view of Birnbeck Pier in the evening. Yes, that's the one. It was my first time there, and the sun was setting. It was gorgeous. The sun casts her single golden eye over us. Rolling waves pay her no mind, even as our fragile skin tans, burns. Out on the water, a tower rises from rotting abandonment. Old pier stretching like brittle bones over salty Poseidon's realm. Water turns golden, silk-sweet ripples, a red carpet for the heavens, and I want to dive in, but you stop me. You say the lightly swaying waves will not ferry me home. My money is no good to old Sharon. Sit in the sun a bit longer, you insist. She will hold you in soft buttercream yellow seconds until the promise of stardust has stopped clogging your throat. It's so easy for the moon to call you. Your blood echoes the beholden sea. But there are still years for us to hold and be. That's for sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is my second poem, and it's a little bit nicer than my poems usually are. So this is called We're Not Alone, and it was actually written for Escape Roll this year. So we're not alone. You asked if I thought we are alone in the universe. I looked at the stars scattering the night sky, then down at the blades of night dark grass under our splayed fingers. Then thought of the messages friends sent throughout my day. I thought of the hugs, the light from the sun, the sheltering trees, the great presence I feel in my heart, and the potential of galaxies further than human reach. No, I answered, we've never been alone. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Tasha. And that vision at Prince Concert Gardens of those bones stretching out is fabulous. Really lovely poetry. Thank you. So next up we have Conrad Collinge. So Conrad is one of our foundation members of Chapter 1. But he's also part of Western Poets and Word Mustard and U3A and many other poetry groups around Weston. He's a keen cyclist and a strong interest in archaeology. Now, one of his beautiful poems was paired with a painting of Brent Knoll by Natalie Cook and posted on notice boards around Weston. And it's beautiful. So if you spot it. Welcome.
Hello. I've altered the title because of this evening and what happened, and chapter 1 putting on the thing on the monster. So the title now is A Monster of Hope or Despair Arrives on the Tide in Supermare. I have to get some light on this. Wow. Okay. Dust transforms the earth, and the earth becomes black dust. Consider its worth as it builds layers of trust. Growing grasses tall, for scything in the raw, sleeping ribbons fall in deepening beds of straw. Two lives lie as one, catching each other fast. Their eyes look upon a world that cannot last. Then, floating on the air, sounds both soft and low cause them to stir, and fragrances to flow out to greet the light that shines unafraid, binding shadows tight in the edges it had made. These edges fix the land by which these lovers lay. We tried to understand, but quickly turned away, frozen on the ledge, from where we couldn't tell which was heaven's edge and which was the edge of hell.
Thank you, Conrad. Deeply moving as always. And if you were at our Elementalist show this afternoon, that fits in the subject really well. Thank you. Fantastic. So next up, we've got Barbara Evans, who is Barbara's a first timer at the Speakeasy. So thanks for joining us. Barbara joined us in chapter 1 fairly recently, but has been published in Somerset Shorts with Western wordsmiths who used to meet as a group in pubs and homes. So welcome to Barbara.
This is not a protest or radical or anything. This is just My Meadow is called. Can't see very well. I've come to a meadow in the silk-spun sun, in a grass-glossy field on a sleepy slope, all tree-topped with towering emerald. My being fulfilled with the child I was, the multicoloured meadow lays her wares before me, for me. The patterned fabric of her dress and garb, yellow and white and soft scabious blue, floral and woven with green and dabbed hues, fresh with ox eye here and poppy there, is impressed upon my view, my vista. Spread in her green grain grass skirt, a mother of the earth, she welcomes me. Her bosom is for my head, her body my couch. I may softly sink into her woman's flesh. Fragrant and full and fecund, I may lie there, couched with her as her own child. No time share or shared time for this mortal. Here and now, this is all belongs to me. My paradise I see, my place, my own. Today, in this time alone, God gives it to me, just for me. All here is gifted and given to me. Thank you. Is that short enough for me to do another? Yes? Okay, thank you. That's great. This one, they're all a bit like this. This one's called And I Love You, Boisterous Breeze. And I love you, boisterous breeze. You leap upon me like a lively child, your fingers winding in my hair. I'm wrapped all around by wayward limbs. Childlike, you come to cling to me. seeking my body close and intimate as an infant holds to its mother. And I love you, warming, tender sun that makes the world seem well and good and parentally spreads comfort on my skin and lets a smile come easily, like communing with a friend with time to spare and time to spend till sadness seems so far away. And I love you, dark and velvet night, lusted by the moon and full of fright, where secret creatures creeping out of sight make signature of ghost and sprite, and active through our sleeping time with rustling noise and scurrying flight, the hearing human heart beats fast. Thanks. Don't have very good endings on them.
That was lovely, Barbara. Thank you for a first-timer at the Speakeasy that you didn't sound like that at all. And those poems were gorgeous with the kind of Mother Earth images and in our relationship, like the spirit of Gaia behind them, and our closeness in proximity to nature. That's what the spirit of today as National Poetry Day and our appreciation of the environment is all about. Thank you, Barbara. Next up is someone I've only met this evening, Johnny Box. But Johnny also has I've learned very quickly that Johnny's also got a very close relationship with nature, because he works a group with a group on a small permaculture allotment holding, and he said, I can talk to you for 5 hours or more about this subject. I did say, Johnny, you've only got a very short time, probably about 2 minutes, and you've got to squeeze a poem in or two in that time. So I guess if you want to find out about permaculture allotments, Johnny's your man in the break. But now we're going to hear some of his poetry. Thank you, Johnny.
It's very nice of you to applaud, but you might not afterwards. There is a story behind this, but that's for conversation afterwards. And I promise you, this is based in the environment and nature. Carbon. I should say the title of this is Retard Carbon. Carbon, a physical compound forming the basis of all living organisms. Wording with which we convey meaning, sometimes structured, sometimes conforming to structure, yet also testing, creating, challenging that structure, rules and norms. PC could stand for many things. Police constable, personal computer, petty cunt, politically correct. How much of anything political is truly correct? How much of everything has become political and power-driven, controlled, destroyed like land, releasing carbon stored? Cunt. A woman's genitals, an unpleasant or stupid person, was once a rather derogatory term. PC precious cunt, parts carbon, retard that process, challenge the control, but don't use a word that may offend. Retard. Censored, retard, delay or hold back in terms of development or progress. Elle est en l'état, comme d'habitude. Personal pronouns in an age of choosing to be offended. All that we, all that one, anyone may seek to change the challenge to be someone, anyone, one of everyone, there's always one. And I hope and trust there always will be. Bob assured me that he wouldn't pull the mic on me for the second part, so hopefully this will explain some. This is entitled Offence. Meanings, words and feelings. Meanings change. Maybe they develop, maybe so do we. Nothing can change, nothing can change. No thing can, nothing is something changes. Lots of words, sounds, and a lack of communication. Feelings, perception, pissed, drunk or annoyed. Grammar and syntax. Earth, you are on it. It is you. The average human, 30 trillion human cells, 39 trillion microbial cells, holobionts we are. Soil is not dirt. Dirt, filthy, messy, on you, a difference in words and meaning, influenced by use, and yes, care. The foundation of life, not dirty, but life. Simply a choice in words and how you choose, booze, refuse to hear, read, perceive, use them. Words, a messy, ineffective, inefficient, sporadic, selfish, shit-spastic, plastic manner of expression, glossed over, cheaply made, brittle, single-use and throw away. Own them, you are them. We are what we say. Don't believe it? Just read it. Read The Sun, the Daily Mail, the comics that prevail and push our understanding over a cliff. Don't believe it, but you read it, and the more that we repeat it, the truer it becomes. Get the business, consumer perspective. Did you not get the memo? Follow the directive. Profit pursues power. There is little carbon neutral. Net zero, we all need a hero. Plenty putrid greenwashing of an offensive offset as we wash our conscience clean, await the golden shower because someone is taking the piss. We choose meaning as we choose to be offended by perceived meaning. Positive discourse, don't be coarse. As Eminem said, everybody only wants to discuss me, so this must mean I'm disgusting, 'cause we all need a little controversy. But if offence is taken, sitting on the fence is a dangerous course. You might even get a bullet from the peacekeeping force. Dire straits, it is not intended. Decide to educate, proliferate, beyond debate, alleviate misunderstanding, abbreviate. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, it's in all of us, our makeup. Which parts did we make up? Did not attend. I don't want to pretend. Society is not in attendance.
Thank you, Johnny. I love the way you were peeling away the layers of those words. And it's true, actually, that words are so loose and can be so inadequate and so weak and so inaccurate and yet abused and misused. And that's why we love this art of poetry, I think, the challenge to reconstruct them into powerful or beautiful or moving constructions of language. Fantastic. We're going to, that's the end of the first half of the open mic, but we're now going to call up our guest poet, Beth Calverley. And what's amazing about Beth is her invention, the poetry machine. I mean, that's a contradiction in terms in some ways, because the poetry that she produces is so full of passion and so full of imagination in the work that she does with other people that there's nothing mechanical, machinist or anything else about it, other than the typewriter that she uses to type the poems on. But her invention of the poetry machine, which she's taken all over the country now, is a fantastic way of communicating with people and making us realize that there's a poem or lots of poems in everybody, in all of us. And Beth is here at the moment. She's for some time now, she's been in the university, hospitals, Bristol and Western, NHS Trust Poet in Residence. Have I got that right? And poet in residence at a number of other places. actually all over the country, I know. But what is also important is that and this is what I would recommend you do, is get hold of a copy of Beth's poetry collection, because it is one of the most uplifting collections of poetry that I've read in the past few years. It is full of positivity. It's full of the spirit that we have needed in the difficult times that we've gone through. And if you get hold of a collection either today or go home and order it online, or get it in a bookshop, from your bookshop preferably rather than online, then you will not be disappointed by sitting quietly and reading Beth's poems. But we're going to hear some of them now. So welcome to the stage, Beth Calverley.
Right, hello. You okay? Have I got anything in my teeth? Because I've had some of that lush. Yeah, I'm okay. Good. Oh, really? Whereabouts? Oh, you've got a matching one as well, actually. Yeah, just there. Yeah, almost. Yeah, missed a bit. Nice. Okay. The perks of being tall. Cool. How is everyone today? Yeah, happy National Poetry Day. Poetry Christmas. Yeah, I am lucky enough to be the poet in residence at UHBW NHS Foundation Trust, and I get to work with patients and staff and visitors in the hospitals, which is just one of the greatest honours of my life, really. And yeah, so I'm going to share some poems on the theme of arts and health, because this is all part of Arts and Health Weekender, which some of you might have been to. And there's actually some leaflets about it at the front here, so if you want to hear more about all the events that are going on, then you can check them out. So yeah, the first poem I'm going to read is called Water, and it was commissioned by NHS at 70, when the NHS was 70 years old, and it's about Western General Hospital. So yeah, it's kind of an ode to Western General. There's something in the water here. We stop to watch the mossy pond, the filtered sun that mops the floor. For many decades, city folk have sought the freshness seasides bring, an ancient coastal pilgrimage. A mermaid drifting down the stairs has half her focus on the steps. The other half is with her friend. She says her spirit's always known a sense of comfort by the coast. Another lady, lithe on spokes, has got her money's worth, a buoyant joke. She's been collecting metal from the NHS for years. Not every joint, but getting close. Her laughter offers up the past, a sudden waterfall of glass. All around us, smiles are swapped and waves exchanged, a hospital of village ways. In here, our hearts are safe as bones. The keepers of these corners know that wards should almost feel like home. They gently banter back and forth. Their gentle presence reassures. At times when cluttered hearts regret, these healers help to clear the decks. That's okay, don't worry, it's right. No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I know this one. And in this place of harboured hope, we feel tomorrow slowly start to flow. Thank you. Cool. Shout out to some of my family who are sitting up here. I'll come back to them later. This poem is called, continuing the watery theme, this poem is called Hindsight is a Playground Water Fountain. At the front of the queue, a girl I try to avoid has finished her drink. She wipes her chin, looks me up and down, and calmly reports, "Your hair looks like a poo." I've done it differently today. Spent ages preening in the wishing well, and she can tell. Her smile is a too tight scrunchie. In years to come, at other water fountains, I'll remember every cleverness I never said. Instead, I know it does. I shrug. And thanks to her, I really do. Her scrunchie pings. You know, you want your hair to look like a poo. I turn my face away. She tightens her smirk and leaves the queue. Thank you. So I'm okay now, don't worry. Yeah. I was going to say, does my hair look okay? Yeah. I'm jealous. Nice. Okay, so my poetry collection is called Brave Faces and Other Smiles. So it's about like smiles, which people are always like, oh, so nice. And smiles are good, but there are some smiles that aren't as good. Like, you know, hiding smiles or like I don't know, manipulative smiles, for example, or that kind of thing. Yeah. And some smiles that are like serve a purpose, like brave faces. Yeah. So it's quite more complex than you might think, smiling. So yeah, this poem is, because I asked people to contribute their own smile stories. This is with thanks to someone called Judy. She contributed her own story about smiling. And it's called Enter. 3 middle-aged children sit by the bed where their father rehearses his final breath. They feel too formal, comically Victorian, with odd bowed heads. Each minute is a mournful wardrobe holding back the black. Knock, knock, knock. A cheery wooden joke. News travels slowly in the nursing home. The carer doesn't know that just inside an airborne wardrobe hinges wide. For a moment, there's an awkward pause before their father, on his so-called deathbed, bellows, "Enter!" with propellant force, his body powered upward by his voice, a burst of everything he was and is in life. Perhaps there's still a bit more time for humour, this unexpected heirloom, bringing back the light. Thank you. Cool. And yeah, this one is called, I think it's got one of my favourite titles in the book. It's called The Startling Impact of Shoes. And it's got a really cool picture of lots of different kinds of shoes. Yeah. Nice shoes. Oh, thanks. Yeah. The Startling Impact of Shoes, with thanks to Jodie. Oh, this takes place in a hospital. You don't need to know that for the story, but since it's arts and health. An older man waits for his lift, a pair of Spitfires trailing him. He swivels on his stick. "You sound like a fighter pilot from the Blitz." The stranger stops, absorbs, and peels. Her safety lock unthrottled as the chocks release. She's 5'2" with a power walk to match. They sit together for a while and chat. His stories have a sorrow light with flight. They rest a precious layer on the runways of his eyes. Soon, "I can't believe the time." She has to go. She leaves him waiting for his lift. He thinks he's made her day. She thinks she's brightened his. Hello. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm dogs obsessed. I mentioned my family earlier, and this is one story that was contributed by my aunt, Anita. So a big round of applause to Anita. We're coming up to Thanksgiving next month, and this poem, Anita always makes this beautiful recipe because, she's Spanish, and the recipe is called chickpeas con chorizo. The title of this poem is Chickpeas con Chorizo for Thanksgiving. It's been 2 hours already, and still she is stirring the pot in her English kitchen. Minutes till the family descends. Her arm complains, and she is 8 again, perched on a stool, moaning to Abuela. "You'll never get a husband if you can't stir a pot for more than 2 minutes, little girl." A noisy burst of her descendants are about to eat those words. "Look at me now, Abuela. Look. Here she is, 2 hours in, minding the supper, just like Grandma taught her. Every turn disturbs the spice of grief. She circles round herself. The pride starts deep. It muscles through her memories to spoon an ache between her cheeks. The herbs she stirs up twirl around the pot to surface every time anew. This is your family, Abuela. They love your recipe. They would have loved you too." Cool. I do the poetry machine, and one of the times that I've done the poetry machine is as part of the, Super Western strategy conversations. And Anna, who's the amazing creator of all the food in this amazing cafe, so a big round of applause for Anna. She's incredible, and she came and took part in the poetry machine, and she's given me permission to read the poem that I created with her at that time, yes. So this is like a spontaneous poem that we created together. The title is Meaning, and it's about dedicated to the Western Supermares Swimming Club. Lined up on the decking by the cafe, we are ready. Teetered on the edge of time, about to feel the rush and roll of life. How brave we all are in our goosebumps and grace. Our jobs and worries primed to fade away for 10 to 15 minutes, gone without a trace. From the water, everything looks far more beautiful. Flat home, steep home, green down, the pull of the tide, the gentle push off from our hometown ground. Here we are lost and instantly found. Here, The lullaby waves are the sharp awakening sounds of opened arms and glittering skin. All it takes is the nerve to jump in. If only everyone could feel like this. If only everyone could feel like this. Thank you. I'll be back later. Have a lovely rest, like a lovely break.
Okay, that was fantastic. And that phrase that echoed in near the end there, eat your words. Well, we're going to have a short break now, and those of you at home will be able to have, or watching this from home, will be able to time to make some tea or coffee or grab something stronger. But those of us in the cafe here, let's, as well as eating our words, let's eat some food here as well, some of the wonderful food, and get yourself some drinks. We'll see you in about 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Hello, welcome back. What a fantastic first half. Beth's amazing poetry. Really thoroughly enjoyed it, even though the one about Western Hospital actually made my leg twinge because I've got a metal pin in it. So thanks for that. Really, really enjoyed it. So we're going to just start off with another one from the right box, and that's from Bob.
Thanks, Sue. Today, quite a lot of people were out on the Sea Monster, and also there will have been plenty of people on a beautiful day like this out on Western Pier. This poem is set on Clevedon Pier. Some of you might have guessed from my accent that there's a bit of Welsh in me. In fact, 110% Welsh. And so I sometimes feel as though I'm in exile from my country, which is just across the water. And that was particularly poignant during lockdown, when we were unable to go and go out of the city or anywhere. I mean, everybody suffered that, but I felt that sense of what is called in Wales hiraeth, which is a real sense of longing for where you're from. We all experience it when we're in other places, but the Welsh like to lay it on a bit thick. So this is called On Clevedon Pier, June 2020. On days like this, when clouds graze the blue hills of the skies, and the islands lounge on the horizon like cattle in the sun. You feel so near to Wales, you could reach across the Severn and tickle the transporter bridge, jog your knuckles across the barrage, or pinch the cones of Castle Cork's towers and hurl them over the mountain. Last time I was here, taking the air, couples and families hurried past, their footsteps echoing on the planks as they bustled towards the Balmoral, ready to depart for Cardiff Bay. And as I watched the ship ease its way out into the waves, the wake braided an arc of rope unravelling from the capstan of the heart. When I was a child, we made that excursion in reverse, queuing at the quay in Butte Town where the steamer docks. Smoke billows from the funnels. Cables groan against the paddle's propulsion. The horn blasts, and away we sail beyond Penarth and out into the estuary in a breeze that will blow forever in my recollection. I've come as far as I'm allowed, as close as I can, locked behind these railings at the pier head, penned in. I want to spread my fingers across the channel and slip them into the mouth of each estuary. Usk, Rumney, Ely, Taff, to sink the tips deep into the mud and haul them up, dredging silt under the nails. Thank you. And I'm now going to start the second half of the open mic. And we've had a few people who are first-timers at Speakeasy this evening. And Chris Hope, who's going to join us now. Chris is would see himself as a musician, a professional musician, as a composer, as a producer, and as a musician himself. He's got 8 albums to his name, and he's worked in television, on apps, in theatre, in gaming, in all different forms. He's produced and written music for. He's also just given up the day job, recently given up teaching in order to make his living full-time as a professional musician and producer. And he's here with some poetry tonight. Associate composer of Box of Tricks Theatre, Chris Hope from Clevedon.
Hello. My wife said I looked like I'd come dressed for battle. It wasn't the intention. This is a poem about a friend of mine who sets fire to his paintings to improve them. It seems to work. Mike flambéed his paintings, summoning petrol saints and smoke in broken alleys. Police would stop and stare, not caring for his permit, learning from his flaming art how far and deep an artist carves a soul to keep a brain at bay. He'd layer paint in trowel slabs and stab with brushes, pushing rainbows over rainbows, mushing torrent flows of oozy oils, loosely toiled into rough gilt. He'd captured echoes, whirls in swirls, and trapped the abstract pulse of life, the secrets lying rich behind the dreary here and now, the silent scaffold, power towering through his talent onto easeled blocks. If anyone could capture love or trap the seas or strip thin a breeze from a wind, it was him, the light magician, fighting to forge everything from nothing and seeing all and painting over the writings on the wall. And so Westmoreland coursed its way forward, called him to draw it, forced through its squally rawness, broad and coarse as gutted gorse. He saw it, fought it, caught it and tamed it, lay exhausted on drawing room floor. He drank water and wine whilst chalking the lines, a faint white life breathing through the canvas. He harnessed life, like transfusing Galatia's muse from the ether to one fixed view, his truth, receding in hues of coal greens and aerial blues, lost fields, rabid waters, cracked sunrise moors, nearly distant and underflown by a phoenix. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Really fantastic slant on ekphrastic writing and beautiful textures. So, yeah. So next up we have Cheyenne Macready's. She has achieved a BA in poetry from Bath Spa University, and her poem Firefly won second prize in the Young Poets category of the 2021 Wells International Poetry Competition. So welcome to the stage, Cheyenne.
Hello. So I'm going to read a poem that's from Western Writers' Night. It was like a organisation in Western, and I wrote it for one of their issues called Hope, which was it was down around lockdown time, so, and the poem is called Hope too. When I think of hope, I think of light, but sometimes light can hide. It can hide in the shade, becoming lost in its own shadow, a seeping of its beams pouring through, desperate to meet our skin. But the very thing about hope is that we can only feel it when we bring ourselves closer to it. In attempt to, we find that light is everywhere around us, moving past us, waking us, illuminating us, and cocooning us as we sleep. If we are open, light can gift us hope, and there we are forever touched by it. Thank you. My poems are quite short, but I was going to do another one. I don't know. I'm not going to do the prize-winning one because it's so short, so it would be over in a couple of seconds. But I'll do one called Poolside. We moved to a poolside and awoke to blue skies, catching daylight just to see it disappear. The indoors became a cave for our hearts, our minds, and our conversations. Somewhere I would stay, but I couldn't grow. I'll do one about the moon. It's called I Wanted to Know the Moon. I wanted to know the moon, every crater, every imperfection, every mark so hollow and white, yet filled with days of experience. I became envious one night of her need to be so far away, but see everything still, how she could never get bored and exist only as a symbol and as a light source and be nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Sometimes short crystallizes everything, and that poem about the moon was really, I think probably everybody related to that very, very, very quickly. And also your poem about hope reminded me of Beth's poems and what Beth was saying about smiles, that it can mean different things and we have to make it work for us. We can't take them for granted. Thank you very much. Next up is Paul Holroyd. Sorry, Paul. Paul goes under the name at times, goes under the name of Greenbeard. And he's written Greenbeard's Vegan Verse, which is a collection of 35 vegan and animal rights poems. He did a tour of the UK to promote this in pubs and restaurants in cities across the UK. And he's also had a collection called Poems for Life, again tying in with the theme of hope and what we're here for tonight. So, Paul?
When you say I've been touring the UK, I've just been going around putting posters up in bars and things. I haven't actually been speaking. I'm not much of a speaker, so sorry about this. This one is called Free to Be Me, and it's basically what I'm doing at the moment. I've just packed up my life. Now I live in a van. I needed to change, be a different man. It's something I've wanted since my 40s began. People told me I can't, but I have, so I can. I've been wanting a more simple, easier life. My children are grown and I don't have a wife. So there's no one to stop me escaping the strife of the rat race. I've cut my way out like a knife. I'm bound to be challenged. I say bring it on. Now I'm free to be me, so I'll sing my own song. There'll be times when I think that I'm doing it wrong, but I'll power through knowing it's making me strong. Don't think that I'm homeless. That just isn't true. I've got a bed and a kitchen, even a loo. My home's where I park, it's a room with a view, not stuck in the same place forever, like you. I'm not a freeloader, I'm paying my way. I still need to buy fuel and food, that's okay. If I need an income, I'm sure there's a way while enjoying my life on the road every day. I had the same job for 25 years, just about breaking even, sometimes in arrears. My stability drowning in frustrated tears. Now I've broken the chains, all of that disappears. So if you've been thinking that you need a change, don't leave it too late. It isn't so strange. It doesn't have to be van life. Your choice is free range. And it's a lot easier than you think to arrange. I know I'm the only one that rhymes tonight, aren't I? No one else has been doing rhyming ones. All right, this one's called Vermin. They burrow into everything and steal from all they see. You can't escape these scavengers. They persecute with glee. You offer them a part of what you need to stay alive. They take it till you struggle to survive. You tell them that you're dying if they don't leave you alone. They kill you anyway, and then they wonder where you've gone. They think your only purpose is to satisfy their greed. that everything revolves around them and what they need. They'll tell themselves it's not their fault, they're doing what they can, but the world will disagree with the vermin known as man. They even treat their own kind in exactly the same way. In the name of exploration, they make other humans pay. Kidnapping whole communities and taking them as slaves, pillaging and killing like genocidal tidal waves. In their quest for domination, they invade another land, leaving all their victims' bodies to be trampled in the sand. And when that's done, in years to come, they'll call their country great and look down on all the colonies they left in such a state, forever seeking out more ways to be the overlord, but the destruction caused is much more than the planet can afford.
Thank you, Paul. I really envy your talent for rhyming, because I'm not very good at it. That's amazing. And the poem about life and not ever being too old to change what you're doing in your life is really important, I think. Good message. So next we've got Joy Kenwood. So Joy, like Conrad, regularly goes to Word Mustard and Western Poets, I think, yeah. She's several novels, including Into the Sun and historical novels in her Archibald Fly series, as well as a book about creative writing and well-being. So welcome to Joy.
Do you ever get those moments that seem to be kind of charged with significance? Yeah, well, can you hear me? I can't tell. Oh. That happened to me 2018, one spring morning, and I like to think that when this happened, the guy who established Extinction Rebellion was just waking up, and he felt it too. So it's called Spring 2018, Rebel Dawn. 6:30 Monday morning. The busy road empties into silence for more than 20 seconds, long enough to scent cut grass on the soccer field, hedgerow hawthorn blooming, and the stillness beats out life drum silence, underground, overhead, where country meadows sink into green, where city streets hold their breath. In the Arctic, the glacier pauses for more than 20 seconds. In the desert, the soldier halts, his trigger finger slow. The knife feels heavy in the hitman's hand. The bomb aimer thinks of his son, his trigger finger slow. His attention faltering. I thought I knew this poem. For more than 20 seconds, no bomb falls, no ice melts, no heart breaks. On the planet, something wakes. The hawthorn blooms and blooms into silence, into grace. And more than this day, something's dawning. Out of nature, out of pace. 6:30, Monday morning.
That was beautiful, Joy. That one moment of a day which can somehow change a lifetime. And then in some ways that follows on nicely from what Paul was talking about, that moment of realization of what you can do. That's fantastic. We've got going to call Annie Bunn up in a moment. Annie is no stranger to the boards here in Love's Cafe. Annie's a regular at Rhyme Against the Tide, the wonderful poetry night that's organised by Sophie Shepherd here on a Friday night, once bi-monthly on the last Friday of the month. I think, isn't that right, Sophie? Yeah. Let's hear it for Rhyme Against the Tide, first of all, yeah. And Annie is a member of the Western Slam team, which has taken on the giants of the slam world, like New York and Boston and Moscow and Peking. No, not actually. Kent, I think, was. Bristol. But also Annie is also won a number of slam competitions, and she was one of the very early members of Chapter 1 creative writing group when it started back in 1919, I think it was. So it feels like that. Okay, Annie Bunn. And he always makes a fuss when she's coming to the platform. People move aside. Oh, shush. She'll even tell the MC to shut up.
Be quiet, Johnny. Right. Okay, this first poem has got nothing to do with the fact that Sea Monster appeared. It was written before that, but I think it's appropriate for tonight. It's called Monster in Motion. We are stunned by the rabid beast we created. Nuclear family gives birth to nuclear age. The status quo moves from mud huts to global posturing, and technology tiptoes us into submission to the false gods of must-have and upgrade. Our beatitudes are bleak indeed. Carbon loss, our crucifixion. Plastic, our poisoned chalice. Man-made energies threaten our end. Yet, sunshine warms bodies and hearts. The moon still favours dreamers. Our seasons twist and turn, and I will never embrace despair. I turn my face to starlight still, breathe in the infinite, and find my uneasy peace. So that was my one vaguely to do with the environment. This one, I'm just trying to think of a theme for this one. Yes, I can tie it in. It's basically creative ways of dealing with food. It's called Lascivious Lunchtime. I've just done some shopping at Tesco, chatted a while with a friend, bought cat food and multiple veggies, but avoided the cucumber end. Their length and their girth don't excite me. When peeled, they flop on a plate. They are timid, translucent and tasteless, a most undesirable state. Salad items do nothing for me. I'm more the fruit-inspired type. I'm partial to stripping bananas, sucking strawberries juicy and ripe. Cucumbers may be upstanding, but poorly resemble a man. Give me fruit and I'll make him horny, tongue-tasting the obvious plan. The Romans were famous for excess. They'd drink and they'd feast while reclined. So peel me a grape and I'm yours, love. Succulent pleasures we'll find. Cream might enhance our desire. The squirty variety's great. No need to waste resources. You won't want a bowl, spoon or plate. We can take turns till we're sated, and fruit has enabled our cause. But perhaps we won't try it in Tesco's. I'd blush at the round of applause. Thank you. Woo!
Thank you, Annie. And two different sides to your poetry there, Annie. Yeah, fantastic. We're going to call in Adam Leopard, who's slipping into the lineup this evening. Adam is one of the burgeoning poetry activists in Weston-super-Mare. He's been putting on poetry events recently and doing what he can to encourage the scene here in Weston. So welcome to the platform, Adam. Thank you very much.
Oh, hello. That was such a lovely intro. Thank you very much. I've just slid in at the very last minute there, so I won't take up too much time. As Paul said about being a rhyming poet, I'm actually also, I don't know where he is, unfortunately, but I'm also normally a rhyming poet, but because I don't want to take up too much time, I've got some shorter poems which are less rhymey, so I've never had a chance to perform them before, so this is a nice space for me. This first one I have is called A Poem of Old England, and it was written purely to push myself out of my comfort zone slightly with writing. A poem of old England, it did rise from deep within and history, with Gaia to the top so nimble, crashing out like crashing cymbal. Once buried below a salted ground, now adorned again in frost. Yet high above one's eye and door, spread fast with wings to soar. This poem of old England, rejuvenation in some youth, in times of staccato care and growth, a wish for peace and love, or both. Thank you. And I have another one for us really quickly. This one is called Reflections of Reaction, and it's about how we choose to react to difficult situations in our life. Winds echo endless, swirl, sway, tip, and turn. Now catch yourself a-fallen, and glisten in humilitous competition to tread lighter than light's disposition. Or bow to winding wrath, bubble, blister, burst, and burn, and descend unto thy dreaming self, for grinding gravel until minuscule darest embrace, deplorable fool. Thank you.
I'm glad we fitted you in. That's fabulous. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Amazing. Okay, so a big cheer then for Beth for her second set, please. I believe Beth might have some books for sale after. Have you? Can you save me one as well? Please. Thank you.
Beth, can I really put you on the spot and say how impressed I am? I can go all the way round rather than speak. That's amazing.
Thanks. Well, if you weren't sitting in the way, then maybe I could have come that way.
Touche. Yes. No, touche. Beth wins.
I grew up in the Chew Valley. Does anyone know the Chew Valley? Yeah. Beautiful place. And my favourite body of water is the Chew Valley Lake. And it's got a really interesting story because it was made by flooding an entire village and farmland around. So it's a reservoir. And the village is still there, underneath the water, which I've always felt a kind of strange connection to that village. And actually, because I went to Chew Valley School, the house that I was in for like sports days and PE and stuff was Morton, which is the name of the village that was flooded. So, that's just really useful context for the poem that I'm about to read. And during the pandemic, when you could kind of go for walks, meet and go for walks outside, I used to meet my mum by Chew Valley Lake because I lived in Bristol at the time and she lived in the Chew Valley, so it was a helpful place to meet. Bless you. This is a little poem called Foolishness. It's kind of a bit about coping with stress. foolishness. My forehead is serious. Caught in the car mirror on the way to the lake, its muscles boiling. My fault, I'm getting wrinkles. I practice relaxing. What an effort. Park the car, early for a change. 10 minutes to wait. A little bliss. The lake is an untroubled forehead, a lost village beneath her brow. Look closely. There are wrinkles. I sit in the car, transforming into myself. By the time my future pulls up, parks, apologizes, we are both beautiful, despite our villages beneath. Thank you. Okay, I'm going on to a different book now. Has anyone seen this one? These Are the Hands. So this is a beautiful book, which is These Are the Hands, Poems for the Heart of the NHS, which was edited by Deborah Almer and Katie Emile. And it's basically poems written by NHS staff, past and present. And it was published, it was put together before the pandemic, but it came out at the start of the pandemic, so it kind of added its extra poignance to it. And this is a poem that I've got in the collection, and it's called Young Love, which I thought, because it's love, so it might be nice to read. And it's also on the theme of arts and health. And it's a golden shovel. Does anyone know the form of a golden shovel? It's my favourite form, and it sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is when you explain it. But basically, you take a line from something else, like anything, could be a text message, or like, pepper and sausage, paella, whatever. And then you put the line down the right-hand side of the page, and then you fill in the rest of the poem. So each word ends the line. So the title of this is Young Love. And the line that I wove through the poem is, he watches it open like a thief staring into his own heart, all bones and splintered wood, which comes from Ocean Vuong's piece of writing, so you should look that up. Young Love. Since his stroke, he lives for her visits. He watches her tune the radio. She watches him flick through the pictures she brings. It is sad, in an honest way, like an open mouth about to cry. Their smiles like radios retuned countless times, a ritual of dials. She believes his mind is a thief who can bring back proof to his wife, staring at proof of a previous life, locked into patterns they packed for the past. But his courage has taught her to soothe her own throat as she swallows a lump of her heart. And she's ever so lovely, he boasts. All the nurses say so. A beauty to her bones. She remembers carving their names in oak, and now she picks up the pieces that splintered to trace the same initials in different wood. Thank you. And now a recent poem that I've written, which is also on the theme of love, hopefully quite young love, if I count as young, I think I do. It's also, I thought it would be appropriate to read because it's sort of about oat milk, and this is a vegan cafe, so it's called Alternatives. And it's about my new relationship, which is with someone who I've known we've been friends for about 15 years. So we grew up together and then we sort of connected and now we're together. Alternatives. When we were growing up in the same village, just two friends from a similar part of the bus, and you were the cool alternative boy, even quieter than I was. I sent you a message inviting you over for ice cream, then realised my mistake and messaged you again straight away with the smoothest line. Oh wait, I forgot. Lactose doesn't know a good thing when it sees you. Lol. In those days, we didn't talk much about what was going on beyond the bus, but you were there. Some things don't change. You're still here. You still can't have ice cream. I'm still really smooth. But now I know you aren't actually lactose intolerant. You're allergic to a protein in unprocessed cow's milk, to be precise, meaning you can tolerate cheese, even my cheesy chat-up lines. I know this detail because after 13 years, I've thought to ask. We've talked about things we never talked about. We've opened a fresh carton. At first, it's different, a weird alternative. But when you ask if I want a cuppa and splash the oat milk into the mug, it tastes the same. Thank you. This poem was a collaboration between the intensive care unit at Bristol, the BRI, basically, and they approached me, a poet in residence, towards the start of the pandemic, and asked me if, bearing in mind how busy they were, asked me if I would work with them, chat to them, and then create a poem which they could give to families of people in the ICU when they couldn't visit, along with some beautiful knitted hearts that were created by the community. So one heart stayed with the patient in hospital and the other heart went to the families. And it's just a short poem, but it's called Thread. At times like this, we know your seams are coming loose, and every stitch of normal life must feel like glass. But we are here beside them, and we're here for you. So whisper all your wishes to this two-way heart. We'll take them by the hand and hold them by their name. We'll pass along your thoughts like telegrams of home. For there's a thread so delicate it never breaks. The promise that no one will ever be alone. Thank you. I think I'm coming to the end, so do you think one or two more? Two, yeah? Okay. Cool. This poem was written from a prompt that was given at an event in Bristol called Tonic, which is a really cool night, where basically the audience writes a prompt on postcards, and then they're given out to scratchers who sign up at the event. And then for the next month, you have to have written something based on that prompt. And the prompt that was written down was the girl with feet for teeth. The girl with feet for teeth. And kind of helped me to write about something that I'd been wanting to write about for a while, but didn't quite know how to. Okay, her parents say, that's enough. Time to get it looked at. In the waiting room, she grinds her feet. No one can tell if the silence is a kick or a scream. She runs on empty, teeth heavy, words sucked in like a belly. They call her name. She isn't ready. The white coat asks her how on earth she eats with feet for teeth. The perfect question for a perfect freak. Her parents tell him lies of tiptoe bites, pickpocket light. Her voice a calcium callus cracks. They made her swap her feet for teeth. No more running scared. Now she smiles back and sinks her plaque into tougher crusts, showing the past how it feels to eat her dust. So one more short one. And this is cool. Well, you can buy the book and then you can read more. Yeah, can you come to future shows and just heckle me? Because I feel like it's giving me street cred. No, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, this is a very short one. And it's... Actually, no, this is my favourite title in the book. A Solo Rescue Mission to Weston-super-Mare. I think the title is longer than the poem, actually. I've got too many things to do, so I've run away to Weston for a dose of freshness, to clear my head of silly lists and ticks. Out there, beyond the pier, is only the sky. A vague remembrance of rain. And all this sand beneath my feet, so soft, so forgiving. Nothing to do but breathe. Thank you. See you later.
I am short. So that brings us to the end of our Speakeasy night at Loves as part of the festival. But we'd like just to say, on National Poetry Day, we'd like to say in a generous way that poets must dig for and find and give out. We'd like to say a huge vote of thanks to the staff here, to Anna and the staff here at Loves. It's not only for tonight, but for what they do for poetry regularly, month after month, what they do for the arts and culture, and what they do for food and health in Weston. Thank you all. Thank you so much, and for such a great night tonight.
And also a thanks for mixing health and art together. It's brilliant. And thanks to UHBW NHS Trust, Culture Weston, and Theatre Orchard for organising the unique Arts and Health Festival.
We also have to thank a brilliant lineup tonight of open mic poets. There's been such a fantastic range of voices and different subjects, different angles, different combinations of words weaving in and out of each other, looking for different meanings, different feelings. Been fantastic word magic from the open mic poets tonight, and also it's been handled beautifully by our guy on the sound system up top as well. But thank you to all the open mics for a brilliant open mic night.
And of course, thanks to Beth Calverley for her wonderful set. And I hope... And I believe Beth has some books, hopefully, for sale there. So do grab one. I'm going to go and grab one myself in a minute. So thank you to Beth. Thank you.
Good night, North Star.